How do you conquer an entire planet without firing a single shot? Well, today, we're jumping into the brilliant sci-fi novella Mirror Line. It's a story that answers that very question with an incredible tale of deception and an even more incredible story of ingenuity.
Right from the start, the story hits you with this chilling warning. It's from another world, a planet that fell for the exact same lie that humanity is about to be told. It just sets this really dark, intriguing tone for what's about to unfold.
So, this is the central puzzle of the whole story. See, the conflict isn't framed as some big war with explosions and dogfights. Nope. It's an elaborate, insidious trap. A trap that humanity will unwittingly and even enthusiastically help to build.
Okay, so it all begins with the arrival of this seemingly friendly alien race. They call themselves the Architects, and they show up not with weapons drawn, but bearing what seems to be an unbelievable gift. Their leader, this super charismatic guy named Hannibal Pachyderm, he promises that this elevator is going to launch humanity into a galactic coalition. He says it'll accelerate our progress by centuries. And for a hopeful world, that's an offer that's basically impossible to refuse.
And the technology the architects have? It seems to completely defy physics. We're talking inertialess drives, mirror field shields, concepts that would put them centuries, maybe even millennia ahead of us. This is really the foundation of their grand promise.
And humanity is just completely captivated. The promise of this golden age, it sparks such an overwhelming global enthusiasm that any voices of doubt are just drowned out. The whole world embraces the architects and their gift without a single question. But, while the rest of the world is celebrating, a small underground group of skeptics, they call themselves the Sentinels, they start to notice that the architect's story doesn't quite add up. They start seeing the first cracks in that perfect mirror.
So the Sentinels' investigation leads them to this really critical piece of physical evidence. They get their hands on some unprocessed shielding panels meant for the elevator, and what do they find? Scorch marks. We're talking classic signs of atmospheric re-entry heat, something that should absolutely not exist if those miraculous shields worked the way they said they did. And that one discovery just unravels the entire deception. Their technology isn't miraculous at all. It's just a more advanced version of our own stuff. The so-called trithnium is basically just a high-grade heat shield, and their ships, they use regular old jet engines once they're in the atmosphere.
And this leads to a stunning, terrifying realization. The architects can land on Earth, but they're trapped here. They don't have the tech to get back into orbit on their own. The space elevator isn't a gift for us. It's a winch for them.
So, faced with this absolutely insidious plot, the Sentinels come up with an equally clever counterplan. They decide to fight deception with deception, creating these devastating weapons that are hidden in plain sight right under the noses of their would-be conquerors.
Their primary weapon is an absolute masterpiece of misdirection. See, under the guise of this massive green energy project, the Sentinels' leader, Bren Hirosa, starts building hundreds of advanced solar farms all around the world.
Using his own company, Nexus Technologies, Hirosa installs this secret software that allows 500,000 mirrors to sync up and focus all their combined sunlight into a single devastating beam. He literally turns a network of power plants into a planet-killer weapon, and the architects have no idea. At the same time, they're planning a ground assault. It's led by a retired major, Carolyn Walker. Small autonomous teams are going to use these little toy-sized drones to inject a fast-hardening liquid plastic right into the exhaust ports of the grounded architects' ships. It's simple, it's brilliant, and it'll jam their engines and neutralize their entire fleet on the ground. Okay, but how do you keep all of this a secret? Well, you create the perfect distraction. They convince another eccentric billionaire, Xander Routh, to publicly restart his pet project, this flashy, totally theoretical plasma superweapon. The architects get so focused on this big, scary, fictional threat that they completely ignore the real ones.
All right, let's fast forward 9 years. The space elevator is finally complete. The stage is set for the big dedication ceremony and for the final, decisive confrontation. But instead of some boring ribbon-cutting speech, Xander Routh takes the stage and just presents all of the Sentinels' evidence to the world. He shows them photos of the scorched shielding, the hidden jet exhaust ports, proving to a stunned global audience that the architects have been lying from the very beginning. He ends his explosive speech with this powerful metaphor. But here's the thing. It's not just a metaphor. It's the secret signal, broadcast live across the entire world that launches the synchronized counterattack.
And the climax just unfolds in this rapid, perfectly synchronized sequence. The moment he finishes, the reflection protocol fires, overwhelming the mothership's sensors and causing these cascading system failures. Just minutes later, the ground teams launch their drones, grounding the entire Architect fleet before they can even get off the tarmac.
And in a matter of minutes, the tables are completely turned. The would-be conquerors, caught totally off guard, find their grand plan shattered and their so-called technological advantage completely neutralized.
The victory is total and absolute. The mothership is just left as a dead hulk in orbit, and its crew has to flee in escape pods. And on the ground, the now stranded Architect soldiers, leaderless and with their ships disabled, they just surrender without a fight.
And this really speaks to the core theme of the story, right? The most powerful weapon wasn't a bomb or a missile. It was the clever application of a simple, undeniable force: sunlight, wielded with stunning ingenuity and incredible misdirection.
And the story ends on this really powerful, lingering question. Humanity now has a bridge to the stars and a secret planetary defense system. So it leaves us to wonder what the future holds now that we've learned the hard way to question any gift that seems a little too good to be true.
Thanks for joining this deep dive into Mirror Line. Ultimately, it's a story that proves that ingenuity, misdirection, and a healthy dose of skepticism can be the most powerful weapons of all. Powerful enough to topple any enemy that seems totally insurmountable.